I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted to be joined today by Ali Fleming of Harmony Glass, who is one of the inspirational women of 2021, as nominated in the Motivate magazine Inspirational Women issue for March 2021. Now, Motivate magazine is the brainchild of Sharon Brown, and you can find out more about the magazine at motivatemagazine.com, and that's MO, the number 2, VATE, magazine.com. I'm Deb Morgan, the real relationships expert at Not a Rehearsal, and I've got the honour of interviewing some of the inspirational ladies from that issue. As I said, I am joined today by Ali Fleming of Harmony Glass. Ali, thank you so much for joining me.
Wow, what an introduction, Deb. Called an inspirational woman. That's amazing.
Well, that's what the magazine is for March 2021. It's really, really exciting. And as I said, I'm honoured and privileged to be interviewing some of the contributors to that magazine. So, Ali, I'm really interested in your story because there are so many twists and turns in it. I don't quite know where to start. Now, the title of your story is Never Too Old for Opportunity. Do you mind me asking how old you are, if that's not too pertinent a question?
61.
61. Fantastic. So I'm guessing from that you've had a number of opportunities later in life that you have jumped on.
Absolutely. Yes. Two key, well, all throughout my life, I've found that I've had opportunities. Some of them have led into good directions and some of them not so. But that's what life is all about, isn't it? About learning where those journeys take us. And if we choose to take them or not, and wherever they lead. And that's one of the advantages, I think, of being a bit older, to have that mindset and that head on with those previous experiences behind you. I think experiences are there for you. Sometimes you don't recognize that they're experiences. I'm one of those people that says that famous saying by Richard Branson, just say yes and work out how to do it afterwards. That's a key thing.
Absolutely. Now, Ali, I'd like to take you back, if I may, first of all, to your childhood. Now, your parents had quite a strong work ethic, didn't they?
Absolutely. They were really hard workers in a very hard environment of green grocery. Mm-hmm. So they were self-employed, and obviously they had family, and being self-employed now, I can see in their eyes the difficulties and things. But as a child, what I experienced then was, yes, a very strong work ethic. If you don't work hard, you get nothing.
And at 16 years old, you were sent out into the world on your own, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I was a middle child, and I, all throughout my childhood, although I was very lucky to be brought up in a middle class family, and we had the trappings of that, mm-hmm. I primarily was brought up by my grandmother, my mother's mother, because really being self-employed, you didn't have that time. So grandma was there for me to wake up in the morning. She'd come and travel to the house to get me dressed in uniform, to make sure I had breakfast, walk me to school when I was younger. All those key memories in your life, mm-hmm. as a child, you remember. And as I got older, my relationship with my mother was quite volatile. And many years later, we have a lovely we have a lovely relationship with each other now. Mm-hmm. She's 92. Wow. But there were years of horrific, relationship. We just absolutely clashed. Mm-hmm. Personalities clashed, and that's what I learnt after going through, huge roller coasters of emotions and many years of counselling, obviously to get through those kind of circumstances. And at 16, thankfully, I was a kind of a go-getter type of personality. Somewhere along the line, I must have been taught that although the work ethic was, if you don't get anything you have to work hard. I think there must have been something that I was given the platform to go and do what I want, you know, go and try that. The world's there for you. I must have got that ethic from them along the way somewhere. Otherwise, at 16, I just wouldn't have been able to have survived.
Absolutely. And you were sent out into the world on your 16th birthday, weren't you, with a bank account with a little bit of money in and told, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, it wasn't on my birthday. It was 2 days after my last school exam at
Goodness.
16. And obviously there'd been some preparation beforehand. I knew it was going to come, that, you know, that the relationship was just, we just couldn't live with each other.
Yes.
It was horrible. So in a way, I was relieved to be able to leave that behind.
I can imagine.
But what a learning curve. Yeah. 16, you think you're so old and you're out there and you know everything, and my goodness.
I know. And the day that we are recording this interview, I've actually got a 16-year-old. It's his birthday today. He's 16 today. And of course, he knows everything, of course.
Absolutely.
So that's why when I read your article and saw that happened at 16, I thought, oh my goodness, he's not ready to leave home yet. And it was just really interesting, that similarity there. So you left home at 16, you made your way in the world, and you married at 21.
Yes.
And you married and you had 2 beautiful boys.
Yeah. Joe and Simon. Yeah.
Tell me what happened then.
Well, we were, my husband was he was a settled chef in London. He was one of the top 10 chefs. He had an excellent job. We had an excellent lifestyle. We just had Joseph, first of all. And then he had these big ideas that he wanted to go off, and the grass was greener. There was more. And of course, because I love him so much at 21 or whatever, you go with it, don't you? And his plans were, after we had Simon then as well, we went into self-employment. He bought a business that he thought was going to be the gold at the end of the rainbow, and in fact it turned out to be the worst experience, because he was bankrupt. We were left with 2 children with nothing, and he had 2 weeks prior to the business actually having to close down, the VAT man comes knocking on the door, and that's it. And it all coincided with a miners' strike. We were in Wales, and the business primarily came from the valleys, with the Welsh miners coming and drinking and having entertainment. And of course, that went on for a year.
Yes.
That strike. And so that was the demise of the business. And he was beaten up really, really badly, and almost lost his life. And there I was, kind of struggle with whatever was the reality of what had happened with the business, with the 2 young children, and also my husband there dying. It was awful. And I kind of put, when I do presentations, I put that as a blank page, a chapter, because it was a very black chapter. And there was so much that went on, emotions and everything that you couldn't really comprehend. But it changed him. And he became a broken man, and he became a manic depressive.
Oh, goodness.
And his whole personality changed, and mentally he was abusive. So I was in this relationship with this lovely man with 2 children, with a beautiful family. And then on the flip of that, only a few years later, then standing up with nothing, and this man that I barely recognized. Yeah.
Goodness, that's so sad for both of you. I'm so sorry to hear that. But that's obviously not where it ended, because life improved for you, didn't it? You perhaps discovered a new lease of life as you approached 40. I don't know. Tell me about that. Tell me about what happened as you were approaching 40 and hitting 40.
Well, my escape from my husband was, I escaped. My escapism while I was still in the relationship was going to night school to do A levels. And in my mind at that stage, I wanted to be a solicitor. That I was, you know, even at that stage, I had big aims. And I'd done law at A level, and my my purpose then was try and get a university place, of which I was successful in getting after doing, I did 2 A-levels in a year, which
Goodness.
was pretty hard going, but that was
Yes.
my, and so I moved to the university town, which was about 100 miles from where we were living, with my boys. And we started, and as I say, a scary journey together.
Mm.
Yeah, so on my 40th birthday, I not only graduated and celebrated my 40th birthday, but I also got my degree absolute a couple of days after my graduation, which was kind of an end of a chapter and the start of a new one.
Yes.
Very proud moment to get to have a degree with as being a single mum with 2 children, also going through their own journey of
Yeah.
finding new schools, new places of living, and all the trauma that goes with that. They were wonderful support to me, the boys. Yeah, they were there with me all the way, and they were very, very proud. I've got pictures of them standing by my side there.
Oh.
And actually my parents came to my graduation.
Fabulous. That's absolutely wonderful. And it wasn't that long after that that you got married again.
Yes, yeah. I at that stage of having a divorce, that you don't really, you're not on the lookout to get married
No.
again. The traumas of divorce and everything. But you do want to meet somebody. You don't want to be on your own. And of course, the boys were getting at an age then where they were finishing school and going off to university and things like that. And I met Paul, and we laughed because we'd put adverts in a local newspaper when they used to do traditional dating.
Yes.
before the onslaught of internet dating and things. And we always joke to this day now, who's lost and who's found. And he was a widower, lost his wife, and it was love at first sight. And that was a whole new chapter then that opened to be married to him. Wonderful. And we married in a registry office. And that's a whole new working chapter then of, and being married by a registrar. I said to Paul, I said, oh, that looks a nice job. And I was kind of focused on that at that time. And lo and behold, a few months afterwards, there was an advert, and I actually went for an interview at the same marriage room as we'd been married in. It was it was so bizarre. Yes.
Goodness.
And that was successful, and that was the office that I worked out of. So that was my new role into registration.
Fantastic. And tell me, were you stood at not at the altar, but were you stood about to exchange your vows thinking, oh, this is an interesting building, this is an interesting place, I might follow this as a career? Or were you focused on your wedding and your marriage?
Oh, no, absolutely. It wasn't anywhere. No, it's just the whole, because you're interviewed, just the two of you, by the registrars before everybody comes in. So you have that kind of one-to-one.
Yes.
And I didn't know anything about registration or anything. It just matched my skill levels and my love for giving people the best customer service based and all things. I ticked all the boxes. And so I was successful, yeah.
And you worked there for a number of years?
Yes, I started off as a deputy and then worked up as a registrar, had my own office. And I was there for 15 years altogether in the service.
Goodness, but that also led you to almost realising your dream of being a solicitor, because then you got involved in the law, didn't you?
I did, yes, because through registration, I asked we were having a one-to-one, and I asked my line manager if it would be possible for the authority to help me and be able to work and be a magistrate. And I had all the backing of my line manager at that time, and she gave me all the references and everything. And so the process went on, which was quite a long process. Recruitment process was quite long, about 18 months. And then I was successful in becoming a JP, Justice of the Peace magistrate. Yeah, so that's the law
Congratulations.
bit all kind of came in. It's so
Exactly.
weird when you look back at different, like I said in the beginning, different twists and turns. It might be not what you want immediately, but it'd be there, put in a box somewhere for the key to be opened later date in a different way. And of course with COVID, it's been closed down. So it's been some while now since I've sat, but hopefully in the next couple, in fact, my first sitting is in a couple of weeks' time.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's
Yes.
absolutely wonderful. And do you still act as a celebrant as well? Or as a registrar?
So my journey from registration was, I absolutely loved it. I loved I mean, I actually did the whole life circle of the registering, the births, the deaths, and the marriages. So all kind of roller coaster of different emotions that you people in the public. And I loved it all, and I loved the weddings, but there was the registration was kind of very restrictive. It had to be. It was almost like a conveyor belt because of the numbers of brides and couples that we could never ever give them as much as we tried to give that personal approach, which I think every bride and groom on their special day should have. So my best friend at the time, just out of the blue, she was widowed very early on, and she always said, when I find my man, Ali, I'm going to ask you to marry us. I said, absolutely fine. So I was still working for the registration, and she rang me up with that and said, Ali, you know, he's asked the question, we need you to come and marry us. And so from there on, the journey went for about a year with them, and they had this beautiful garden, and it was her wish to be married in the garden. And so what came of that, they legally came into the registrar office where I could legally marry them. So they had my signature on their marriage certificate. But then what I did was, and that's what over the time, we wrote their ceremony between us. They both got children of either side, so they were involved. She could have what she wanted at what time she wanted. There were just no restrictions. And it was amazing. It was a Mad Hatter's tea party on a hot July day in a marquee with about 70 people. It was just so relaxed. It was perfect. Couldn't have been any more perfect. And ka-ching, light bulb moment. I'm thinking, why can't everybody have this? So off I toddled then, still with my registration hat on, and looked into what it meant doing this. And of course, the world of celebrancy came up to me then. So I thought, wow, this is, I thought I loved registration. I didn't think there could be any more to it than that. But I went off and I did the training, because there was training. There is a big difference between celebrancy and registration, and you need to know how it all works. So I went on the training and handed in my notice and started off carry out personal ceremonies. So that was my big jump from employment into having a lovely monthly salary, thank you very much, to self-employment. Everybody thought I was mad.
Yes, goodness. I can relate to that. And you touched on the fact that things have been very quiet in the last year because of COVID and coronavirus, but that hasn't stopped you from creating another business, has it?
No, absolutely not. As a celebrant, I'm always looking for different ideas to come up with to enhance the couple's day, whether it's a baby naming, a renewal of vows, or a wedding day. It's all a very personalised service. Some of my journey time with my couples is anything up to 2-3 years in their planning. And it's all about making memories of that time. And I've been working on this idea in the back of my head to do with the glass. And of course, COVID hit last year, and alongside it, 20 wedding bookings that have gone to this year and next year. And instead of hiding under the duvet, which you think, oh, wow, it should have been one of my busiest years, you know, monetary wise. And so I thought, right, okay, I'm going to launch this. So came up with a name. I'd already been in the process of working. I'd found my glass blower, and I'd had some designs made for me. So a lot of that had been done, and we were restricted during COVID as to what we could do physically, of course. but then you've got all the background of setting up the website and just getting everything into place and where it's at, and so the Harmony Glass experience was born, and continues to do so. So, and now I'm balancing the two businesses now for the couples that are now getting married, and then the Harmony Glass. And the Harmony Glass is a standalone product, but can be used and written into any ceremony, whether it's whether I hold it, whether any other celebrant holds it, whether it's a church or a registrar. Couples can have it written already into their ceremony to go.
That's absolutely beautiful. And it brings me full circle to the title of your article in Motivate magazine, Never Too Old for Opportunities. And my goodness, you have grasped every opportunity that you have seen, followed every little path that you've been offered to see where it would take you. And look where it has taken you. It's enabled you to fulfill some long-standing dreams by getting involved with the law. And it's enabled you to pursue this beautiful trip through being a registrar to being a celebrant, and now with your Harmony Glass, and tying them all in together, which is absolutely beautiful. Ali, if any of our viewers or listeners want to find out more about you, where can they find out more details?
Yeah, the website for Harmony Glass is quite a simple one, www.harmonyglass.co.uk. And if anybody has any inquiries at all, then I'd love to speak to them.
That's wonderful. And of course, they can read your article in Motivate magazine, which you'll find at motivatemagazine.com. That's www.motivatemagazine.com. MO2VATE magazine.com. Ali, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure.
Thank you, Deb.